Good evening, everyone. Good evening, Shifa. Are you there?
Yes, Vidya, you're audible.
Okay. Yeah,
Yeah.
am I audible clearly? Okay,
Yes.
I'll just display this. I'll just switch on my PPT. Could you just check and let me know?
Yeah, sure.
Okay. So we are waiting for a few more. Dear all, I welcome you all to this webinar. We are waiting for a few more people to join. For we will wait for 3 more minutes and we will start the webinar.
Sure.
Shifa, is it visible now?
Yes, Vidya, it's visible.
Okay. So very good evening to all of you who have joined this webinar today. And this webinar is going to be very interesting because we are going to get the secret revealed today by Mr. Rohit. So before that, I would like to give a small introduction about what is Cyberverse. Cyberverse
Excuse me,
Foundation.
Vidya. Uh,
Yes.
I'm not able to see your presentation. If you can just open that up, I can see the Zoho screen on your screen, which is shared.
Yeah, I will just share it once again. Yeah. Is it visible now?
Yes, it is.
Okay, fine. So shall I put it on a slide mode?
Yes.
Okay.
Thank you.
Yes. Thank you. So Cyberverse Foundation was recently inaugurated by Honorable Chief Minister of Karnataka. We are located at Mysuru at Myra School of Business. So Cyberverse Foundation is a Section 8 company dedicated to building a robust cybersecurity economic ecosystem in India. So we have our co-founders, Berunda Foundation, And we have Information Sharing and Analysis Center called ISAC as a training and technology partner. And Mysore Royal Academy of Academy Trust, Myra College, is one of the co-founders of Cyberverse Foundation. Cyberverse is also supported by Karnataka Digital Economy Mission, KDEM, as an ecosystem partner. Yes. So we have also a digital lab with lot many scenarios of hacking where people can come and learn the live scenarios of different type with the different type of modules that has been created where people can come and work on different scenarios of cybersecurity and hacking. Also, Cyberverse Foundation is an initiative towards protecting the digital economy of India and in elevating India as a world leader in cybersecurity by developing the skill sets and capacity building and R&D. So now we have Mr. Rohit with us. Mr. Rohit Gautam is an security researcher who has created multiple bestseller courses on network security like bug bounties, recon, and has a student base of more than 50,000 students on platforms like Udemy, Tutorial Points, and StationX. He is a certified cybercrime intervention officer, forensics investigator, bug bounty researcher, and penetration tester. He is also the instructor for technical courses on cybersecurity at ISAC and Cyberverse Foundation. He is currently having 10 plus CVEs by reporting zero-day vulnerabilities to open source and commercial softwares. He has also helped to secure multiple organizations by reporting vulnerabilities in organizations like Google, Facebook, Microsoft, H&M, DoD, and many Indian government websites. Today, we are going to learn lot many things about what Rohit has done, and he is giving us few pointers and taking you through the journey of his winning of more than $15,000 in bounties. So, are you all ready to go with him? Can I hear something from you all? Yes? So, over to Rohit now. Rohit?
Yes. Thank you so much, Vidya.
Yeah.
All right. So, hello, everyone. My name is Rohit, and thank you so much, first of all, Vidya, for that warm introduction. Thank you so much, entire Cyberverse Foundation team, for organizing this webinar for everyone. Thank you, the most important participants who have joined for today's webinar. I hope that you enjoyed the session as much as I did while planning this session for you guys. So I'm going to share my screen now, and I'm going to walk through the entire series of methodology that I have followed in past that has helped me be successful in bug bounties. I'm going to share tips, techniques with you guys that has helped me find the hidden attack surface for organizations that can give you quick and easy wins in terms of your bug bounties. I hope this session also helps you level up your bug bounty methodology so that all of you can find your first bug, a Hall of Fame, and a bounty. So, without further ado, let's jump into the session and let's start seeing today's show. So, I'm going to share my screen now. If any one of you could please acknowledge me if my screen is visible.
Rohit.
Okay,
Yes, Rohit.
great. Thank you so much. All right, so let's jump into today's webinar. So, this talk is based on extensive research from the internet, tools, and all the experience that I have learned so far from last so many years of my professional experience working as a cybersecurity consultant, part-time, freelancer, bug bounty hunter on multiple programs. So what to expect out of the talk? I'm going to share tips and tricks to make your methodology better. I'm not going to disclose any magical bounty tricks that you could just quickly copy paste and apply that helps you identify 0 days. I'm not going to share any of my private programs, but definitely I'm going to share a lot of scripts, snippets, and one-liners that will help you do automation and identify those hidden bugs that generally people miss out in programs. So before we start, I want to start this session with a Zen poem, which is very, very close to my heart, which says to follow the path, look to the master, follow the master, walk with the master, see through the master, and finally become the master. So, what the heck are bug bounties? For some of you who might have joined this webinar and might have heard about bug bounties for the first time, let me walk you through towards what exactly are bug bounties. Before that, this is the agenda of today's session. We discuss about bug bounties, we discuss about what is recon, how to do better recon than others, some of my personal tips and tricks, then wrap up, and at the end we'll have a Q&A wherein all of you feel free to post your questions and I would be very happy to answer. Who am I? Vidya has already given my quick introduction. I have started a startup known as Hacktify Cybersecurity in Mumbai, who specializes in terms of trainings. We did a very big internship with Hacktify Community and Virtual Testing Foundation, which had 15,000 participants throughout the world. We've recently started a bug bounty platform known as Breachpoint that all of you might see very soon. I teach online on platforms like Udemy, and I also do bug bounty hunting, which helps me level up my skills that I can also apply on a lot of different programs as well as pen test engagements. So on your left on the screen, you can see the expectations that generally everyone gets with bug bounties. It looks like it's very free, easy money. You sit with a computer, try to identify a bug, and get free, easy money. But in reality, bug bounties is perseverance, persistence, and pushing yourself to go more, to spend time with a program, understand in and out about it, understand all the functionalities that a program has, and try to take that extra step generally anyone would miss and skip from that program. So before we start, these are top 10 rules that I follow, and all of you can take in reference from these top 10 rules as well, which will make your bug bounty hunting experience and journey much more better. The first is choose the right bug bounty program. Especially if you are a beginner, you have to keep in mind that you choose the right program that helps you learn as well as you identify potential flaws or vulnerabilities into it. So, as a beginner, I generally suggest that you should pick up a program which is fairly simple to hunt on. You can identify potentially more vulnerabilities into it. Picking points only programs or swag only programs help you level up your confidence and you build more stronger methodology before you jump on big or open scope programs like Google, Facebook, Apple, etc. Second point, recon. Always try to identify as much as information that you can from the program. Do not DDoS the program with active scans or automated scanners. Remember, bug bounties is not about running a scanner on a program. That is never going to help you. Although, if you're lucky enough, sometimes you might identify a vulnerability by running a nuclei scan or a burp active scan or a Acunetic scan. But trust me, in a longer run, it is not going to help. Security team of programs also run these scanners. They also have in-house deployments for multiple of such tools. So it is a higher chance that these vulnerabilities would already have been identified by these scanners by their team. So recon, understand the program. Try to identify the hidden attack surface as much as you can without running active scans. Next, this might sound a little bit funny that we are generally doing bug bounties to identify rewards or to get bounties. Why is there a point that says don't expect rewards? If you don't expect a reward from a program, you never get disappointed. That means if I report a high or a critical bug to a program and for certain reasons it goes duplicate, I would not get burned out or feel demotivated. This has helped me achieve a lot of mental peace, and I have avoided burnout by not expecting rewards from programs. So let the reward be a surprise for you and focus on enhancing your methodology by identifying vulnerabilities and reporting it, and let the reward be a surprise. Develop your own flow of approach and methodology. This is very, very important. If you create your own approach that keeps you on track and a methodology that helps you achieve certain milestones whenever you're visiting a program, is going to be a definitely a game changer. Surround yourself with bug bounty community to keep yourself updated. This is the most important point. Try to connect to like-minded people. Twitter is an amazing platform for all of you to connect with bug bounty hunters. Follow them. Try to read what they post, their blogs, their tips. LinkedIn is again a great platform to read about blogs. Keep yourself engaged with a community in which there are people who think similar to you. Try to learn from them so that you can fix your mistakes, or you could definitely enhance the way of identifying something that someone might be doing better than you. Try to automate things. Always remember, a good hacker is someone who does not do the repetitive task again and again. Try to automate it as much as possible. If you're doing the same thing multiple times, you're not being very much efficient. So try to automate the lower level stuff. Make a checklist. Checklist always helps. Trust me. If you are onto a program with a very big scope or a program that has a lot of functionalities, there could be high possibilities that you might miss a test case. Keeping a checklist keeps you on track so that you don't miss vulnerabilities testing on it. When you find a bug, try to chain it, which means try to increase the impact. As we all know, bug bounties is all about creating an impact, showing or increasing the severity of the issue. The last one, mental health. Mental health is very important. Don't force yourself for bug bounties. Definitely do it, be passionate about it. It will help you enhance your learning curve, increase your methodology, and also give you rewards. But don't get burned out. Take breaks in between and do some leisure. Okay, let's move ahead now. Here are some of the platforms that you can pick up, like Bugcrowd, HackerOne, Cobalt, Synax, Zerocopter, OBB, private RVDP programs, and many more. So these are some of the platforms that you can freely sign up, programs, and start hunting. Now, let's understand about recon or reconnaissance. I see a lot of people engaging in recon, but at a certain point of time, getting confused that how to do effective recon based on a program. If I have a program which is very small, if I have a program which is of medium scope or large scope, how to approach it. So I have divided programs based on scopes. What does that mean? Example.com, if has a bug bounty program and clearly mentions into its scope and policy that example.com is only in scope. Any vulnerabilities identified on example.com will only be considered for reward. You have to apply this small scope methodology that I'm going to share in the upcoming slides. If a program says star.example.com, which means all the subdomains that we have for this program are in scope, then you have to apply the medium scope methodology. And if a program says every asset that belongs to our organization is in scope, apply the large scope methodology. Now, a program of large scope could be Google, Apple, Yahoo, Snapchat, Uber, etc. In which Tesla, in which all the assets that belongs to an organization, be it their IP addresses, their domains, their acquisitions, their parent companies, sister companies, everything is in scope. For that, try to apply the large scope methodology. Let's understand about why subdomains are important for recon and how it helps you. Through subdomain enumeration, you can identify high value targets. What does that mean? Let's say your target is evilcorp.com and everything or all the subdomains are in scope. If you do a subdomain enumeration and you identify a potentially vulnerable subdomain like dev.evilcorp.com, which is used for development purposes, it allows you to maybe upload a web shell. That way, you compromise the entire server. Or else, if there is a vulnerable application which has recently been made live for a client or for some kind of testing or UAT purposes or a staging application that allows you to exploit it and take over the entire server or compromise the server. This way, you can identify more severe vulnerabilities by choosing the less traveled road. So, what exactly is a subdomain? In front of you, you can see alpha.beta.evilcorp.com. Here, evilcorp.com is called as the top level domain or TLD. Beta.evilcorp.com is the subdomain. Alpha.beta.evilcorp.com is a subdomain, or it is known as vertical correlation domain. So subdomain, as can be seen in the figure, is the subdivision of the main domain. It could be multiple subdomains like gamma.alpha.beta.evilcorp.com as well. If the program scope and policy clearly mentions all the subdomains are in scope, then you can identify more such subdomains and also add that to your methodology for identifying vulnerabilities. Now, as we understood about vertical correlation, that is identifying a subdomain or subdomain, there is also something which is known as horizontal correlation. Now, what is that? As we see an example over here, acquisitions of Google, that is youtube.com, blogger.com, would also be considered in scope for a program like Google. And this is known as horizontal correlation. Let me give you one more example. If I'm approaching for a bug bounty program, which is apple.com, the horizontal domain correlation would be if I identify a bug in shazam.com, webkit.com, icloud.com, etc. So, what are some of the tools that you can use for identifying subdomain enumeration? Here are some of the passive subdomain enumeration tools that you can easily get from GitHub. My favorite one is Subfinder. You guys can also use other tools. AMAS does a very, very, very good job in identifying assets for a target. Remember, all of these tools list over here can be downloaded from GitHub. All of them are open source. Also, they are passive subdomain enumeration tools. That means they use one or the another data source to crawl and bring the subdomain list for you. I'm going to show you that as well right now on my terminal. So I'm going to open up my terminal quickly and let's do a subdomain enumeration real quick. So I have Subfinder installed in my system. So I'm going to specify subfinder-d. And let's say I want to do subdomain enumeration for a target, which is hm.com. hm.com has an active bug bounty program. So I'm just trying to identify what are the subdomains that would exist on this target. It has started enumerating subdomains, and I have identified 1161 subdomains in 6 seconds. Again, I would like to point out that these results are passive results, which means there are multiple data sets that have been used, like VirusTotal, Wayback Machine, DNS Buffer, Sonar, etc. There is one more technique which is known as active subdomain enumeration that helps you identify targeted subdomains that might not be crawled by other crawlers or other data sources. How can you do active subdomain enumeration? A very simple technique would be using FUF and a word list. So I'm going to create a word list quickly. In the word list, you can see admin, blog, shop, login, sign up, news, hack, test, www, hero, Shopify, news. There are some words in this word list. So I'm going to use this word list on a target to identify subdomains. I'm going to use a target, which is https://actify.in. When I say I want to identify subdomains, so I need to fuzz it, right? So I'm going to fuzz it over here. I'm going to add a matching code which says 200 and 301 and 302, which means match a status code of 200, 301, 302 for any active subdomain that is found. You guys can clearly see the output. I have identified a subdomain which is blog, www, and test. If you guys want to see more results, add -v at the end, like this, and you would be able to see blog.hacktify.in, www.hacktify.in, and test.hacktify.in. If you want to validate, you can simply go over here and check if this exists or no. Let's quickly check it using curl. So I'm going to send a request, and we are able to see that indeed the website exists. Yes, we have got a 200 OK, and the website indeed exists. Awesome. I have used a demo word list with certain words. You guys can use a good word list that could contain possibly a lot of targeted subdomain names that you guys can use. For that, you can use best DNS word list. Best DNS word list is one of the word lists that you can find on the asset note word list. This helps you do a thorough DNS brute force of any given target, and you will find and discover pretty obscure subdomains. Trust me, I have tried this for multiple programs and pentest engagements and have found a lot of subdomains that were not found using these passive crawlers like Subfinder and other tools. So give it a try. You might potentially identify a subdomain that has a vulnerability hidden but was not found by someone else. So you could be the first one into a specific subdomain which is vulnerable. Here there are some of the GUI tools which has a graphical user interface. There you can go and find subdomains for targets. I also like to identify subdomains manually using these following tools. Certificate transparency is a very, very good source to identify subdomains. So I'll simply go to cert.sh and try to identify a subdomain from here. So let's say we do subdomain enumeration for Tesla. I type tesla.com and hit enter. I would be getting all the certificates that has been issued to tesla.com. But let's go to Tesla bug bounty program. Tesla bug bounty program says, and also go to tesla.com. If we go here and check the certificate, let's go and click on certificate. And here you can see the certificate is only given to wildcard.tesla.com. That means all the subdomains for Tesla. But Tesla bug bounty program says anything that is a subdomain for Tesla, cool. Tesla.cn, awesome. TeslaMotors.com, Tesla.services, and SolarCity as well. What does that mean? If I only do a search for tesla.com on cert.sh, I would be only getting subdomains related to Tesla. And I would not be getting subdomains which has been issued certificate from other of its assets like Tesla Motors or SolarCity. Okay, so let's go to SolarCity and hit enter. Okay, it redirects here. Let's go to Tesla Motors. Redirects to Tesla. All right. Let's go back over here and see the certificate. Now, when I use the organizational certificate, that is Tesla, INC, I would be automatically be able to identify Tesla Motors, Tesla Services, SolarCity, etc. So I go back to cert.sh and instead of searching Tesla, I go back. I go to advanced. I go on organization name. I select Tesla, INC, and then hit search. When I do this, I'm searching for all the SSL certificates that have been given to organizations with an organization name that is Tesla, INC. This helps me identify more targets that would be related to a program. Apart from what I got previously, that was only the subdomains for tesla.com. This could be really, really helpful for you to identify any such subdomain that has been given a certificate by Tesla that might be used for staging, development purposes, or maybe it have been deployed recently for a client, but is not properly secure. You could potentially identify a vulnerability over there real quick. We're waiting for this to complete, and you would be able to see more such results. That includes more targeted subdomains. It's giving me a bad gateway right now. So let's run this once again and let's go to the presentation till it fetches all the results. Census.io. IoT search engines are definitely a very, very good resource to identify crawled targets for organizations. So for that, I'm going to use Shodan. You guys can use Census as well and do an SSL search. So let's say I do SSL, or let me show you. if I search for apple.com, I want to find all the assets of Apple that has been crawled by the IoT search engine that is Shodan. Here, you guys can see I have got 1748 results. But when I go back to apple.com main website, click on the certificate, I see, okay, the organization common name is www.apple.com. Apple Inc. is the organization name. This is the OU. Let's go back and let's modify a little bit. Now we do a search based on SSL and hit enter. Let's try to log in and again search this and hit enter. And let's see this time if our results bump or no. And you can see our results have bumped drastically. That means websites that have been provided SSL certificate by Apple would also be found. Let's check out. Let's go here. Connection is secure. Certificate is valid. Given by Apple. Let's go on iCloud. Connection is secure. Given by Apple. Apple. Okay. So you can use the same technique on cert.sh as well as you can use it on Shodan as well. Now you guys can see results looks a little bit different this time. Can you guys see this? Yes. If I did a organization based search, I got the target that is indeed in scope of the program. Also, I see there is something called as tzla.net. Has also been identified in which the certificate is given by Tesla, inc dot. It could be potentially something that is being used for internal purposes. So I could just dig in so that I could identify something sensitive that I can see or identify that can be useful for me for my bug bounty methodology. You guys can also see we have identified Tesla Motors as well, which we did not identify previously. So Tesla Motors, Solar City, the assets were also identified when we did a certificate search for the organizational name. When we did a SSL search for the domain name, the results also bumped up. So this is one such techniques that you can implement to get more assets for your target. There are some more ways that you can increase or identify more subdomains manually using more techniques as can be seen over here. ASN lookup is a really nice technique to identify IP addresses that could belong to an organization. ASN stands for Autonomous System Number. It is a unique number that is being assigned by INA. ASN number consists of a block of IP addresses that an organization have, or a bunch of IP addresses that belongs to an organization. Now, what does this mean? Let's go back and try to search for apple.com. Apple.com has a very rewarding bug bounty program. So I'm going to go and I'm going to search for, let's go to BGPHnet. Once I go over here, I'm going to search for apple.com. Anyways, I know Apple has an autonomous system number that is AS714 that belongs to Apple Engineering. So I'm going to go to that AS number to show you that there are bunch of IP addresses that are being claimed by Apple. So let's go to prefixes. And here you guys can see 1138 IPv4, 220 IPv6. These are the prefix originates. And here you can see the total number of address that originates in the IPv4 subnet. There are a lot of IP addresses that exist. Here you guys are seeing subnets. What you can do for an open program like Apple is identify if any of the IP address from here runs and web application or a service that could be potentially vulnerable. So I have created a script called as ASN2IP. Let's run this script. And I'm going to provide the ASN number, which is AS714, that belongs to my target, Apple, and hit enter. When I do this, it gives me a list of bunch of targeted subnets with their CIDR range that belongs to Apple. Now, what is my next approach? I want to open up these ranges and see how many IP address exist. So I'm going to pass this results to map CIDR and I'm going to hit enter. When I do this, map CIDR will automatically open up each IP address for me like this. Now let's do one thing. Let's save this results in a file called as apple.txt and hit enter. A map CIDR is going to open up or slice up all the IP addresses that belongs to a specific ASN range. Once I have got all the IP addresses, my next attempt is to identify if they run a service. So either I can do a port scan or I can identify only port 80 or 443 is open or no. This way, I would be able to know the IP addresses that might be running a web service where I can quickly identify and look up for vulnerabilities. Guys, here I have not started identifying vulnerability on the main domain, that is apple.com, or of its subdomain. Instead, I'm trying to identify a vulnerability from the AS range IP addresses. Why? Because this way, I could potentially be able to identify more vulnerabilities that might not have been looked by someone, and I could potentially identify a flaw that is overlooked and has never been touched by someone. So let's wait for this to complete. And as it runs, and let's get back over here. Let's get back to the presentation. And then we are going to see, once it completes, how many IP addresses we have identified. And what are some next easy steps that you can do instead of running a port scan. Here you guys can see, I have divided, as I said initially, our recon in 3 buckets: small scope, medium scope, large scope. These are some of things that I implement in my small scope methodology. Directory enumeration, that is directory fuzzing. You can do it using dir search, wfuzz, fuzz, etc. Identify sensitive information from GitHub using GitHub dorking. Perform service enumeration using nuclei workflows. Like if application runs Jira, I am only going to test CVEs or vulnerabilities specifically to Jira or WordPress. I'm also going to do Google docking for identifying sensitive information. Example, site colon example.com, file type colon PDF, that will help me identify PDF files if they are exposed. Or in URL slash login, in URL slash admin. This will help me identify login portals, admin portals. EXT, extensions.php, .aspx. This will help me identify extensions for those pages, etc. You can also run Wayback Archive or Wayback Machine to identify historic data or URLs for a target and pass it to GF. GF will identify potential vulnerable parameters for you, in which you can sort more and try to see if they are vulnerable or no. As I said, you can do Wayback Machine, Wayback Enum. You can also use tools like GAU and OTX, which is get all URLs, or Open Threat Exchange data that can help you identify or uncover potentially vulnerable URLs or parameters, or sometimes crawled sensitive information like passwords, endpoints, cookies in the URLs. You can perform parameter enumeration, JavaScript file enumeration, perform WEF detection, port scan, do backend enumeration, and identify component with known vulnerabilities. With this, definitely you have to identify OWASP top 10 related vulnerabilities as well. Now, what if your target is medium scope, that is star.example.com? As you can see on your screen in the yellow, you are going to definitely do the same thing that you have done in small scope. But additionally, what do? You can see highlighted in the green color. You do subdomain enumeration, identify subdomains. You guys can also filter the subdomains based on status codes. That is 200 OK subdomains. Subdomains which redirect 301, 302. Subdomains that give you forbidden 403, wherein you can try 403 bypasses. Subdomains that give you 500 internal server error. You guys can test for subdomain takeovers after identifying multiple subdomains from here. Check for S3 misconfigurations on the subdomains if they are running on AWS. Perform subdomain brute forcing to identify more subdomains as we saw using FUF, using active subdomain enumeration technique. Now, I'm going to show you how to approach medium scope based recon if there is a target that has more than 1000 subdomains. Filter out subdomains based on status codes. You can do this easily with the help of HTTPX. Once you filter out subdomains, screenshot the subdomains. Don't do it manually. You can use tools like Ghostair. Use tools like Aquatone, Web Screenshot, etc. After taking the screenshots, filter the screenshots based on page size and title. Sort and pick the pages which has the highest size because those pages would have dynamic content length or dynamic application. Dynamic application means higher chances of more functionalities, high chances of sign up, login, etc. And then pick up your targets and start testing it. If you identify a subdomain based on status code that gives you 403, try 403 bypasses over there. Filter A and C name records. Check which subdomains point to a cloud service provider. Check for subdomain takeovers. Perform tech detection and see if they use older software, maybe an older version of Drupal, which has a remote code execution. Try to see if there is an potential exploit available in Nuclei or GitHub or Metasploit. Try to exploit it. Now let's come to a large scope program. Large scope means everything is in scope. We've already seen how to perform ASN enumeration. You can also identify seeds and roots for a target. Identify live host using mass scan. Identify acquisitions using Crunchbase. So let's go to, and let's try to identify some acquisitions for Apple. So I'm going to say Apple acquisitions and hit enter. The first list that I get is from Wikipedia. I can get the results from here. So I can see over here that these are all the acquisitions of Apple. Let's search for Shazam. Yes, Shazam is indeed acquisition. Let's search for Turi. Turi is an acquisition. I managed to identify vulnerabilities in these two acquisitions, that was Turi and Shazam, and I reported it and have got paid for those vulnerabilities. You guys can also use Crunchbase to identify updated or recent acquisitions for targets. So here I can see there are in total 127 acquisitions for Apple. Go over there and try to see which are the latest ones. And you can start potentially identifying vulnerabilities over there as well. Let's see if our CIDR slicing has been completed or no. And yes, it has been completed. So I'm going to say cat apple.txt and let's count the number of hosts. So we have these many hosts, which is ones, tens, 100,000, 10,000, lakh, 10 lakh crore. So we have 4 crore 53 lakhs 98,272 IP addresses for Apple ASN. Now, how do we identify which IP address runs a web service or which IP address is live? It would take a lot of time for us to do a port scan. Although that is a good way to identify the recent state of any port if it is running a web service or a web server. But you guys can use Shodan very easily without even creating an account using Shodan database API to identify if any of these IP addresses has a port that is running and is being exposed. So for that, what I'm going to do is I'm going to use enrich. Shodan public. Now, enrich is a tool that will help me identify if these assets or the IP addresses that I have found are being exposed over Shodan, and are there any vulnerabilities pre-existing that were already there, or if there are some ports that are open. I'm going to say cat apple.txt pipe enrich and hyphen enter. Upon doing this, enrich is going to check these IP addresses across the Shodan's database without sending an actual request to IP address. That way we do not even create noise to the server because we are not actively scanning it. We are taking the results from Shodan, which already has scanned those assets and saved it with itself. Now it might take significant amount of time as I'm scanning huge number of hosts, but as soon as Shodan identifies any IP address that has been already found, crawled, ports identified, common platform enumeration done, services checked, vulnerabilities found, would be listed over here. And this setup is absolutely free of cost. You can use the same thing for doing and creating a local attack surface management platform for free as well. Let's go back to our presentation until this is happening. As I said, you can do acquisition scan from Crunchbase. We were going to see Crunchbase, yes. So we can see 127 acquisitions, including Credit Kudos, AI Music, and so on. So I can go, let's say AI Music is one of the acquisitions that has been done recently by Apple. So I'll just go click over there, see what is the domain name. I'll get it from here, and then I'm going to check if I can identify potential flaws in it. Try to get in touch with Apple to confirm if the target acquisition is in scope for the bug bounty program. Upon confirmation, I'm going to send them the vulnerability report. I'm going to stop this because this is consuming significant amount of bandwidth right now, and I don't want any technical glitch in the session. I've stopped this. You guys can run this continuously overnight over your VPS as well. That will help you identify and get good results. Okay, let's go back to the presentation. After doing DNS SSL enumeration, you can use Shodan census, as I've already showed how you can use enrich to do and use an attack surface and use the data to create an own attack surface management platform. Identify the assets that has vulnerabilities or ports that have been exposed. Here is my mind map that I have created for myself, which I use while doing pen testing and bug bounties. You guys can also definitely take a reference over here and try to implement the same thing in your methodology. Here is an approach step by step for doing successful recon. Use multiple tools for identifying subdomains as I did. The tip is remember to use different tools because they might use some of the data sources that give you maybe some new subdomains using passive techniques. You can combine all the results, sort them uniquely, remove duplicates, run an active subdomain enumeration, combine it as well, and you have a very nice list of subdomains that others might not have or other security researchers might be missing. Use Google Docs to identify more endpoints, more subdomains, more assets. As you can see in the tip, this is one of the Google Doc that can help you identify more subdomains for bentley.com. Do reverse OS. A very good source that I like to use is tools.whosxml API. Who is on Facebook, identify its name servers, perform a reverse who is for those name servers to get a nice list of targets that could be running on the name servers of Facebook and are in the scope of the bug bounty program. Identify vulnerabilities on those assets that others might not be picking or might be missing. You guys can use wayback data in Burp Suite as well. Analyze more endpoints, JavaScript files, etc. So you can see over here, I have done a wayback URL on Shazam, saved the output in a file, did a grep of .js, sent all these JS files to curl to validate if they are existing still or no, or those are obsolete or outdated JS files, or those endpoints does not exist anymore. Then I send these results to Burp Suite to do a further analysis if I can identify a potential vulnerable endpoint or an internal path or a secret that is hidden in that JS file. You guys can see identifying subdomains and passing it to HTTPX to identify subdomains, pick up targets based on status codes and filter them, and then start hunting on them. Identify targets, set to DNSX, perform a CNAME lookup, and identify targets which might be pointing to cloud service providers and must be having dangling DNS records that helps you identify subdomain takeovers very, very easily. This has helped me in past in identifying many subdomain takeovers without even running a subdomain takeover tool or a script on it, but just looking up the DNS CNAME records. As you can see over here, I have got two of such subdomains, which is macct.shazam.com pointing to Amazon AWS and config.shazam.com pointing to Fastly. This you guys have already seen. We have identified active subdomain enumeration using FUF. You can do directory brute forcing or fuzzing using a custom word list to identify more such endpoints. Run wayback URLs that will help you get old data or those endpoints that might active at one point of time and might still be active and being vulnerable, or those endpoints which were active and now been hidden from the front end, but you can still access them. Run the wayback or give the wayback URL data to GF pattern to identify potentially vulnerable parameters that could be vulnerable to issues like XSS, SQL injection, etc. Sometimes developers don't use common parameters that might be in GF patterns. So try to look up parameters manually as well. As you guys can see over here, I have looked up for each parameter by grepping equals to and removing all the unnecessary clutter like JPG, GIF, CSS by doing an inverse grep and then getting a list of parameters that I could test for XSS or maybe any other vulnerability. Perform a subdomain enumeration, then try to do an nmap or a mask scan to look up for uncommon ports that might be running a vulnerable CMS or a service that could be easily exploited. JS Recon is goldmine. You might identify API keys, public AWS buckets, hard-coded passwords, hard-coded internal domains, assets, and a lot more sensitive information in JS files. So you guys can see over here, I'm using JS Scanner and passing it to Hackcrawler to get all the JS files that exist for a target. Use Google Docs, manual docs, use automation. Here, I've tried to show how GitHub Recon can be super useful to identify, again, API keys, public AWS buckets, hard-coded passwords, and a lot more sensitive information or juicy information leaked out there in GitHub, Pastebin, GitLab, etc. I have written a quick, very, very loose, dirty script that helps me identify all the GitHub repositories for any organizations. As you can see over here in the screenshot, target organization is Babel, and I'm sending an API request to Babel repos. I'm getting a list of repos. So they have around 100 repos. I'm grabbing repos, doing some kind of SED filtering on that, and then passing it to a Python module, which is Gitty leaks, which identifies anything sensitive like username, password, keys, etc. in all the GitHub repos in one go. Git Docker is again a very nice tool that you can use, and it also runs the GitHub docs that could identify you sensitive information lying out there, leaked by developers or hard coded by developers in GitHub.
Hi, Rohit. So Karan is asking for you to slide back to port scan slide.
Port scan.
Yeah.
Yes, I'm here.
Yes, question and answer session will be, yes, it will be done in on audio. You will be allowed to talk and ask your question.
We're just about to end, just 5 more minutes, and then we'll have a quick Q&A. Okay, so you guys can use subdomain datasets from Chaos. Go to chaos.projectdiscovery.io. There are 5.55 billion records that you can use. There are potentially subdomains that has been identified by the Chaos project. Use it for your successful recon to identify more assets for any program that could be useful for your bug bounty purposes. You guys can also watch my video, which I have created, of how to use and download all the 5.5 billion records in one go without the API key. Subdomain enumerations with FUF. Subdomains resolved and can be supplied to nuclei, wherein you can filter based on severity like high, medium, critical, and then it can give you easily low-hanging fruits. You can add a cron job as well that will automatically keep running this overnight and help you identify the low-hanging fruits that could be easily caught by tools like nuclei. If you want, here's a burp trick. If you want to import a large number of subdomains of URL for testing into burp, you can simply use parallel and curl and pass all the subdomains to burp suite, and from which you can spider more URLs, run an active spider on that, get more URLs for those endpoints, and identify anything that could be potentially sensitive. Burp Ninja tricks. I'm going to share some tricks with you that will be helpful for you. So, whenever you do a burp scan, burp suite by default keeps an insertion point that is 30. You can increase the insertion point by going to this setting. This will insert your payload to the body, header, parameter, cookie, everywhere that is possible. So this way, you might potentially be able to identify vulnerabilities by tweaking a small setting in burp suite that helps to insert your payload in multiple insertion points. Bug bounty docs can be a really useful thing for you, wherein you can identify new programs that could be used for bug bounty purposes. Similarly, bug bounty targets data is in GitHub repository, which gets continuously updated, wherein you can get new bug bounty programs list, domain names, subdomains, etc., which you can run overnight on your VPS. Project Sonar dataset is a very good resource that I use frequently to identify multiple DNS records and new subdomains as well. Last, I like to use VPS because it continuously keeps running my scans of fuzzing, subdomain enumeration, GitHub recon, etc. So when even I'm sleeping, my VPS identify issues and alerts me over my Slack, Discord, or Telegram. So you can use screen that will help you run task in a cron job automatically and send you results. With this, we'll end over here and we'll open the Q&A section now. In case you have any questions, feel free to ask. So I'm going to go and see. There are some questions. If you have questions, please, you guys can unmute yourself as well if you want, or else you can paste your question into the chat box and I would be very happy to answer that. I hope you guys enjoyed this session. Please let me know your feedback over the session. How was it? Did you guys learn something new? Did you guys see some new tips, techniques? Nicely explained. Thank you so much, Keshav. What about others? I would be very, very happy to see your feedback. Can you please share the PPT? Yes, I can share this PPT. I would be sharing it. The Cyberverse team would share it very soon after the seminar, the webinar gets ended. How could you identify virtual host and a target? So there are multiple open source tools that you can use to do a virtual host discovery for multiple hosts running onto a same server using virtual hosting. You can use vhost brute forcer that can help you identify virtual host running onto the same IP addresses. If you have any specific tools or any specific vulnerability that you want to know, please let us know in the comment section so that we can come up with that in our next upcoming webinar for you guys. Can we use these methods to our pen testing job? Yes, absolutely yes. You can use all these methods or techniques that I've shown you in your pen test engagements as well. I use it in my pen test engagement and it has helped me level up a lot and identify potentially a lot of assets and hidden attack surface through which I am able to manage to find vulnerabilities. Thank you for explanation. Learn many new things in bug bounties. Thank you so much, Dheeraj. How can I create a standard template for report for bug bounty targets? So we have already done that. If you want, you can simply go to hacktify.in/bug bounty, wherein we have created report templates automatic, wherein you just need to click on copy and you can use those templates for your bug bounty and pen test purposes. So the address is hacktify.in/bug bounty and you will get ready-made templates for more than 10 vulnerabilities.
Can you share the ASIN script that resolves IP from ASF?
Yes, I would be sharing that. You guys can identify or you guys can find these scripts. I would be uploading on my GitHub. You guys can note down my GitHub is. I'm going to add my GitHub ID in the chat. So any tools that you see that you have seen today in the presentation, any scripts, I would be adding that to the GitHub and I'll make it public so all of you can use it as well. Okay, so I've pasted it in the chat box. With awesome explanation. Thank you so much, Jasim. Is there any tools for running directory brute force for multiple subdomains? What you can do is you can run a loop using FUF. A simple while loop can do the job for you. So we already know how to use FUF and do a directory brute force. Write a loop in which once it completes a specific targeted domain, it will automatically start it on a subdomain. Recon ng is useful. Yes, you guys can use tools like that. Hello, I was having a question that are your scripts running on a VPS 24/7 or at a particular time? I run those on RPI, Raspbian OS at some particular time using cron jobs. So what I do is I also run it at specific interval of time using a cron that is 12 p.m. or 12 a.m. every day. the same task runs, which tries to identify new active subdomains or new JavaScript files. So you can either set up a cron job that could run once or twice or maybe thrice a day, but you can run it once or twice a day. That is sufficient, and it will detect any new changes that happens every day and alert it to you. I would request others to mute so that we have less disturbance for others. Okay, let's go to the Q&A. Can you list some of the browser extensions which helps in bug bounties? Yes, you guys can use multiple browser extensions. The browser extensions that I use that helps me be more productive is Cookie Editor. Let me see what I'm using right now. I use Cookie Editor. I use retire.js. I'm using Vapilizer. I'm using Foxy Proxy. I'm using What Web, and more extensions like this, which is copy all URLs and built with technology profiler. So all of these extensions are free. You guys can download it. That could be helpful for you while you're doing your bug bounties. Thanks for the great session, Rohit. My question is how efficiently to choose a VDP that doesn't ignore your submissions. Okay, thank you first of all for your humble feedback. There could be bad experiences in bug bounties as well from multiple programs. So when you're hunting on a program and that specific vulnerability disclosure program does not respond continuously to your reports, you have to understand that you have to now move on to the next program because the program is not acknowledging or at least validating your efforts that you're putting on that program. So it's always better to skip that and move on to the next program. Now, to get a list of good VDP programs, you can use Bugcrowd, HackerOne, Integrity, and other platforms. Also, if you want, you can run bug bounty docs that will help you enable and identify programs that run privately. Try to identify programs like that. Report if you have identified a security vulnerability and see how the program tries to engage with you. If by your continuous efforts, if the program does not engage with you, you know that your efforts are not being validated or acknowledged. At that time, you know you have to move on to the next. So there are multiple programs that could have a bad experience, but again, as I said, that's always learning, and we know that now it's time to move on to the next bug bounty program.
We have Janaki Ram. Sir, you want to ask any question? Janaki Ram? Deep, your hand is raised.
First of all, Rohit sir, thank you for such a wonderful session. So I was asking about the XHR related attacks. Like mostly people don't know about the XHR. What's the XHR? How it's work in the real life scenario? Like suppose you have the XSS and the you want there's one CSRF scenario where CSRF is token is generated after every time you post something. So what you can do, you can maybe bypass it with the XHR if I'm not wrong. So many
That's
people
correct.
don't know about it. If you are, you can share some resources or maybe on some particular session on XHR, it will be really helpful for everyone.
Thank you so much for your valuable feedback for this. Definitely, yes. Maybe we can take up some time in the upcoming webinars in which we can let people know that how, with the help of XHR as well, by sending AJAX request, you can perform attacks like CSRF. We all know that while we do CSRF attacks, we cannot add a custom header to a CSRF request when we make a CSRF POC using Bubsuit, which only allows us to create a CSRF POC with only body. But with the XHR request, you can also add additional headers to the CSRF request. And if a developer has added any additional mitigation like a header, you can also bypass that. Definitely, yes, it's a very good topic, and I would be happy that I can take some part of it in our upcoming webinars. Thank you so much, Jaideep.
Thank you,
Karan?
sir.
Mashuk and Rahul, so many people wanted to ask questions. And one more question I saw on the chat box, like, yes, the courses may look like expensive to you, but the courses what you learn from Rohit will be given today. There is a special announcement, but now I just want to announce the same now itself, because we are offering up to 20% discount for the people who have attended this webinar today, uh, for the courses called the penetration tester, bug bounty researcher, and also for basic information security course. So whoever wants to join for these courses can just refer to the coupon codes. I'll be pasting that on the chat box now. This offer will be there. One second. This offer will be there up to 30th of this September. So the first one is for basic information security. The coupon code will be this one. And for BBR, it is bug bounty researcher, and CPT is a certified penetration tester. Using these coupon codes, today's webinar attendees can join our courses, and this coupon is valid up to 30th of September. Registration codes for these courses will be shared to your WhatsApp, email, and also we will be communicating to you on the telecalls. Any doubts, you can ask Rohit. Once again, over to Rohit.
Thank you, Vidya. So I see a lot of questions coming up once again. Uh, what kind of bug do we should look for on Google Drive website? Uh, Now, for a mature program like Google, you can focus towards finding out vulnerabilities that might be logical or logic based vulnerabilities. That could be identifying potential access control issues. There might be a broken logic through which you can get permission based issues, etc. It would be extremely difficult to get vulnerabilities like XSS, SQL right now on a very mature program if, as you have asked specifically for drive.google.com, but you can identify permission based issues or access control based issues, because generally these are the things that are continuously being developed in terms of new updates or any new functionalities that a program keeps on adding for enhancing the user experience from the back end. So there could be a possibility that there might be some issues with access, permissions, etc. So you should look for these types of issues on mature program like this, as you have asked. Is seeking one-to-one guidance from Rohit sir possible? Hi, Karan. So uh, you can definitely enroll for the course, and I would be very happy to solve all your doubts one-to-one that you have uh, throughout the training program. The pre-recorded videos, correct?
Hello,
Yes.
hello.
Yes, yes, you're audible.
मैं माशुक रज़ा सर आपका सेशन बहुत अच्छा था आज का। और मुझे आपसे ये मुझे काफ़ी टाइम से मैं आपसे ये पूछ रहा था, लेकिन मौका नहीं मिला। सर जैसे कि मैं यूडेमी में आपके बहुत सारे कोर्सेज़ को फॉलो कर रहा हूँ, लेकिन अप्रोच क्या है सर, मतलब हाउ टू लर्न? जैसे कि आपका बग 1 और बग 2 2 कोर्सेज़ हैं और उसमें बहुत सारे अटैक्स हैं, तो मैं कैसे उसको सीखूँ? अप्रोच क्या होना चाहिए? पहले मैं पूरा कोर्स को कंप्लीट कर लूँ, उसके बाद प्रैक्टिस करूँ, या फिर एक-एक अटैक्स को सीखूँ, उसके बाद प्रैक्टिस करूँ? मतलब कैसे मैं वीडियोज़ को देखूँ, कैसा मेरा अप्रोच रहे और कैसे मैं प्रैक्टिस करूँ, जैसे कि मुझे ज़्यादा फ़ायदा मिले उससे?
Okay. So, hi, Mashuk. And I'm really sorry if I'm not able to acknowledge you before. So, first thing that you have to do is whenever you pick up any attack type, you try to complete that attack type only before you move or proceed further. For instance, if you are learning about XSS attack, try to see all the ways that an XSS attack can be done. Practice each and every method of how XSS has been done. Let's say XSS using URL encoding, XSS using base64 encoding, XSS using double URL encoding, XSS by using an image source payload, SVG payload, file upload functionality, or maybe using a polyglot. Once you see all these techniques, try to reproduce them. Don't try to finish things. One, until and unless you are able to reproduce the same exact issue on a program, that could be any program, or until you practice it, don't proceed further. Okay, so that way you would be able to practice this completely, and you would be able to see that, okay, now I have complete hands on a specific type of vulnerability, and I know these all techniques that exist which through which I can identify excesses. So इससे क्या होगा, whenever you now pick up a bug bounty program, you know that I'm just do not have to do script alert one script tag close to find excesses. I can do, if I find file upload functionalities, try to identify excesses using file uploads. I can use SVG, I can use double URL encoding. Okay, so a simple answer: pick up our attack, complete everything, practice it, keep on practicing until and unless you find each and every scenario before proceeding further. Once you do it, then you move on to the next attack type. Okay.
ओके सर, मतलब कोई एक अटैक का पूरा वीडियोस देखने के बाद जितने भी वहाँ पे टैब्स हैं उसको कंप्लीट करना है लैब वेबसाइट पे, उसके बाद फिर फर्दर अटैक को जाना है.
Correct.
थैंक यू सर.
Welcome. Okay, do we have more questions?
Also, I have pasted the registration links for particular courses. So people can just click on those links and go to the particular course details. We have the curriculum details, course calendar, everything mentioned there. And our next upcoming session will be starting from October 1st. October 1st से हमारा नया कोर्स शुरू होने वाला है. So जो भी इस वेबिनार अटेंड कर रहा है एंड आप लोग ज्वाइन करना चाहते हो तो आप लोगों को 20% डिस्काउंट मिलेगा. एंड द कूपन कोड्स हमने जो लिखा है वहां पे आप उस कूपन कोड द्वारा रजिस्टर कर सकते हैं. And any doubts, if you have, I am Vidya Patel. I will be available on the phone number that is mentioned here. You can call and clear all your doubts about registration of the courses. And also, definitely, when you join the courses, you will be in connection with the Rohit as a mentor. He will be hand-holding you people and taking you forward and understand and make you understand the deeper technical knowledge about penetration tester and bug bounty researcher. And anything else, any last 2 questions we can take?
Yes,
Sir,
as
I have
Vidya.
a question.
Yeah, please ask.
Can you give some insight regarding what type of bugs we should focus on healthcare apps or healthcare services?
So, to be specific to this question, each application is being developed in a certain manner. So, if we talk about e-commerce application, then we generally see that there would be a shopping cart, there would be a user who can buy products, there could be a section where there is a coupon code applicable. Now, where these functionalities arises, there are specific vulnerabilities that could be found on this type of e-commerce applications. For example, if I have a coupon code functionality, I can try over there race conditions to check if a coupon code can be reused multiple times. If I have a add to cart or add to bag functionality, I can test if I try to add all the products that exist on a website. Let's say there are 50 bags. I add all 50 bags to my cart. Does the backend asset inventory get empty? This is again a logical flaw because I've not yet purchased any bag. I've just added it into my cart. And if the asset inventory gets over, then me as an attacker, I can slow down a business for a specific manufacturer or a specific vendor. Similar to this, if we take an example of banking application, Banking applications has maker checker functionalities, in which there is when I applied for a credit card, there would be a maker who would be validating that, and checker who would be again validating it as a super admin. Now coming to a healthcare application. Now, in a healthcare application for a platform, if there are specific functionalities apart from the usual functionalities, there could be more related test cases that could be created for that. Okay. And apart from that, all the vulnerabilities that we test for OWASP top 10 can also be tested over there.
Yes.
Yeah.
Last one question you want to take, Rohit?
Yes.
Sure.
It's
Any last question, please?
Yeah. Can you hear me?
Jaideep.
Yes. Again. So yeah, my question was about the virtual labs. Like I used to do the virtual labs. Like I have the access of the virtual lab once, and I like that a lot. So is there any chances like we can pay for that, or maybe somehow we can get only access of the virtual lab?
The virtual labs you're talking about that we used during the VTF internship?
No, not the VTF internship. Like that particular course, I guess. I'm not sure
Uh,
which.
Cyber range?
Yes, yes, cyber range. Yes, exactly.
Okay. Okay. So yes, you can get access to cyber range labs as well, but that will be a part of the training program that is currently being ongoing with Cyberverse. So if you want to take it separately as well, so you can definitely take that separately as well. But you have to reach out to Vidya, and she would be giving you more insights on getting the cyber range labs platform access.
Yes,
Okay.
definitely we'll do that for you, sir. Yes, thank you all for joining today. And yes, if you want to join for the courses, please register with those links. And for the coupon course, if you miss out now, you can please contact me on the given number, and we will be reaching you out through WhatsApp, or maybe we will mail you, or we can call you and communicate the same once again. So any question to me? Anybody wants to ask any question about the registration process? Buddy?
I don't have a question, Vidya, but I would like to encourage all of you to get in touch with Vidya. If you have any questions or queries related to the course or the training program enrollment, syllabus, curriculum, fees, anything as such, these training programs will help you get more insights in terms of information security, bug bounty hunting, and penetration testing. And if you look forward to make a career, definitely get in touch with Vidya and try to get more information. And if everything suits, get enrolled for the programs. She is also offering a discount for all the exclusive members who have joined the webinar. So avail that and try to take advantage of this opportunity.
Rohit, about the certificate downloading. Uh, like
So all of you guys who have joined for this exclusive webinar, I would like to thank all of you. You guys can also download your certificate for joining this webinar from the platform. So you would be getting a link from where you can quickly register with your correct details. Make sure that you use your correct details. Do not use pseudonames, hacker, bug bounty hunter. Use your correct name because that would be printed on your certificates. Download your certificates and you guys can post it on social media, LinkedIn, Twitter, Instagram, and please tag us. Tag Cyberverse Foundation, tag Vidya, me, and Shifa if you also want us to share your post. So that would get much more reach on these platforms. Okay. So get acknowledged by downloading a certificate that will help you get more credibility, and you can put it on your resumes or any such profiles that if you want, which will add more value. So download the certificates, use your correct details, and tag us. We would be very happy to see that you're posting certificates and tagging us, and we would love to leave our comments over there. Thank you.
Yes, those who are there on the LinkedIn, kindly follow the link. I have shared the link. Please tag us on the LinkedIn, and we are everywhere, Facebook, everywhere, wherever you want to post the certificate, please tag us. And also, this is a website which I have shared now, and you can just go through the website, find out the suitable courses for you, and let us know and keep in touch with us for much more exciting webinars coming from Rohit, Shifa, and there are many more trainers and speakers who are in touch with us, giving you lot many information. And see you all once again in our next webinar series. Thank you. Thank you, Rohit, for the wonderful session. And any questions about the registration, I'm there to answer you on the given number. Thank you all.
Thank you so much, Vidya, and the entire Cyberverse team for making this webinar happen. And again, at the end, I would like to pay my sincere gratitude to all the participants who have taken out time and joined this webinar. Thank you so much once again, and stay connected for exciting upcoming webinars that we will be launching very soon in our upcoming future. So stay connected, download your certificates, and get in touch with Vidya if you have any inquiries. Once again, thank you, everyone. Take care.
You can also share your feedback about today's session on LinkedIn.